Hey everyone, Kate and Fiona here, and welcome to this week's Facebook Live. Today we want to talk about this inner critic, right? This voice in our head that I'm sure all of us are intimately familiar with, that I guess sometimes supports you, right? But in my experience and all the work I've done with this voice in my head over the years, it often feels like it's tearing me down. It's kind of this self-slamming. It's that piece of maybe I've got something wrong, or things haven't gone right, and just this voice just goes and goes and goes. Or maybe you're thinking about applying for a new role, and there's this voice that's not kind of being there and being a big cheerleader and saying, go for it, KB, you've got it. It's actually there going, oh no, are you sure you can do this? I'm not sure, can you do this? It's a bit risky. And so I think this one's really big. We've seen it with a lot of our private clients. We see it in a lot of the group work we do, Fee. But being able to redefine this relationship with our inner critic and transform it to what we call our inner crown is so powerful.
Yes, I think you're right. There's hardly a person we meet who has not had this going on, has it going on, has to deal with it on a very regular basis. It's usually there day in, day out. And there's all those moments where you ask a question and it sort of falls flat, like it doesn't land the way you intended it. And you start going, oh my God, that was a terrible question. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have asked. And, you have a conversation with your boss maybe, and they say something that you didn't expect, or that they give you a piece of feedback. And rather than kind of going, okay, well, yes, I need to do something about that, you start amplifying, you start going on and on, you start making it bigger and bigger than it actually is. So I think this is piece about, we start with something that's, maybe could be useful, but in our own minds, we start making it bigger and bigger, and we get it out of perspective. And once we're at that point, it's very hard to catch it. It's like a runaway train. It's got us, and we're in this state of, I can't do anything right. I always mess it up. Oh my God, I'm doing it all wrong again.
Yeah. And I think what we tend to do is get things out of perspective, right? I remember talking with a client who rang me after an interview. I think interviews are really hard, in kind of building your point around amplification, because we often, it's almost like we're these double people, right? We actually don't have good conscious memory of what happened. And we'd spent 30 minutes, right, talking about, it didn't go well and da-da-da. And then at the end she said, oh, and so they said that they definitely think there's a place for me. They've just got to figure out where I fit in. And I went, what? And I said, we just spent 30 minutes talking about how this interview didn't go well. And then you left with a pretty clear signal from them that actually they do like us. So I think, and this was certainly true for me, right? I've spent lots of time, really working on this inner critic and actually trying to transform it, because human nature is zero into the negative, like zero into the 1 out of 100 people in the room who gave you some negative feedback, who gave you a funny look on your face, right? We've been there as speakers. And so I think this piece around getting it out of perspective is really important. And I think the other one is that I really love is, what are the expectations you have of yourself? Because I think this really plays into the sort of feedback and how you're moderating feedback that's coming to you. Because if you expect, yourself to be kicking it out of the park, and everyone to be kind of going, woohoo, well done, Kate, in the room, then of course you're going to be disappointed if you don't get 10 out of 10s from 100% of the room. So I think there's a really important piece both to play here, which is actually how do we put things in perspective, and how do I balance that with actually what I'm expecting for myself in the first place?
Yes. It's so valuable even to just start to notice, when am I disappointed? How deeply disappointed am I? Is that in proportion to what's going on? I think just even questioning our own reactions and our own emotions starts to get us more cognizant of what's going on around this inner critic, this little voice that's constantly kind of really giving us a hard time, really trying to, I think, derail what we would be able to contribute. And when we think about, the cost of this, the time and the energy, we've all got examples of a time when, we got some feedback or something went wrong. And rather than going, okay, well, yep, I'm going to have to deal with that, we then went into a whole lot of story and a whole lot of what if and if only and I could do. And there's like, it just goes on and on and on. And we get stuck in this loop of, what I could do and what I could have done differently. And that's just so not helpful in this situation.
Yeah, I remember a time when I was in a meeting in my corporate days and someone, I won't say who, threw me under the bus and kind of made me take the fall for something. And it wasn't a huge thing, right? This is what I think was interesting, but I pride myself on being across the detail and being able to answer the questions. And anyway, I remember I walked out of that meeting and I was like angry, and this voice in my head was just going and going and going for days, actually. And of course, a couple of days later, I walk in and I see this particular stakeholder again, and it was as if nothing had happened. And I just kind of laughed, because all the time and energy that I had given this thing, and the time and the energy and I guess role that it was playing in their world was so different. And so I think, there's a really important piece here, that it's costing you time and energy, but it's also costing you, what are you not doing? The intention is to keep us safe. There's no question, except it's not, safe from what I think is the big thing, right? Safe for getting it wrong. Well, when you get it wrong, you learn something. So I think there's a really interesting piece around starting to lean into this, because what we've seen is when there are kind of some of those catastrophic, and they're often not catastrophic in other people's perspectives, but they're very catastrophic in ours, exactly like my time when I was thrown under the bus. We kind of walk away and we kind of almost hibernate for a while, right? It stops us from really coming back and showing up in our organization with our leader, with our team, the way that we really would and are capable of, and it really stops us serving.
Yeah, that piece of miscontribution, I think that's huge. We're not, when we contract as a result of this kind of rumination and this over, exaggerating, really zeroing in on the negative, means we're not contributing fully, which means we're not seen and we're not visible. And also the organization misses out, our team misses out, everyone misses out, because we're not showing up fully, because we're scared. So this piece about being able to right size it and to be able to deal with this differently is so beneficial personally, but it's also beneficial to those around us.
Yeah. And so I think, the opportunity here is to reframe it, redefine our relationship with that inner critic. I was reflecting on my walk this morning. I've really managed to turn it down quite significantly if I think about my journey, except there is no magic pill, right? This and the confidence pill we wish we had. There is no magic pill. It very much is starting to zero in and spotlight, where are things getting out of perspective? What are the expectations am I having of myself? Right-sizing the story that you're telling yourself, to borrow from the wonderful Brené Brown strategy, and really start to, what we would say, ask yourself some really good coaching questions. And I think here it's really useful to get someone else into the conversation as well, because I've often just been bouncing around in my head and not been able to let it go. So I think there's opportunity to bring someone else, either a coach, a mentor, a stakeholder, to right-size it and also get it into perspective.
Yes, I love this piece about we get an opportunity all the time, right? We talk about this, we can do this and we can translate it, and we can also take the lesson. It's okay to take that lesson and then go, okay, and now I'm ready to get back in the game. I don't have to mean that this will take me out for a whole lot of time while I second guess myself and I let that inner critic get louder and louder and hold me back from being all that I can. So lots of things we can do if we're just prepared to engage with this in maybe a different way than we have in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's it for us for today. If you enjoyed today's confidence conversation, please share comments below, or if there's someone in your world, in your network who perhaps has that inner critic who's turned up really loud and could benefit from turning it down, we'd love for you to share this video with them, either as a DM or in your feed as well. And if you are feeling stuck or would really love to zero in to what's going on with your relationship with confidence, please get in touch. Visit our website, take the 10-day challenge. There'll be one coming up in a couple of weeks. We'd love to really support you through the process of actually getting to know your confidence a little bit better, and then starting to activate it so it really serves you and supporting you to live your life and career with your 100% confident, unshakable, unbreakable, confident self. Take care, guys, and have an awesome week.